Today is stretch and strength yoga. A little bit of lengthening, a little bit of strengthening, and then a nice long rest at the end. We're going to work with triangles today, so making the shape of triangles in different ways and working with adjusting the pose to find different muscle groups. So try to stay on the mat, try to stay in the muscle groups and in the physical body. If you're not paying attention, what we often do when we're not paying attention, not present in the physical body, is we move through the joint or move through an unintended joint, especially up into the low back and in the sacrum area. So really trying to focus and find which muscles we're trying to use in certain poses rather than just kind of flopping through a familiar shape, a familiar practice, or perhaps having the goal of what the shape should look like based on somebody else's news feed, somebody else's Instagram picture. So we're going to begin on our back. Come on down to your back. Start to land on the back. So some of the most important parts of a physical yoga practice are the grounding at the beginning and the release at the end. And sometimes they're the most difficult parts, the parts that we tend to skip through because the mind gets bored, the mind wants to wander away. Maybe you want to stay and only get the physical results of a yoga practice. But the reason why yoga is so popular and so accessible to so many people is it has magic. It has like this way of seeping into your life without even trying. So as you repeat the practice over and over, you start to feel better. And you might think it's only because your muscles are getting stronger and you're getting more flexible. But there are other things at work and other reasons that draw you to the mat. So bring your feet down, knees up. Make a little triangle with your feet. So when you're placing your feet down, knees up, too close to the glute might bring some strain into the knee. Too far away might pull in your lower back. So find that place where your body is comfortable. Place your feet on the ground. Take some softness through the hips. Try to land the shoulders on the ground. Start to notice what is present in the whole physical being. Wiggle your toes. Soften the muscles of the face. Maybe take some rolls of the head. Notice what's present in the neck. Really landing in the present moment. And if you really struggle with landing on your mat and keeping your head on your mat, maybe starting to pretend that your mat is like a sacred space, a little barrier between you and the rest of the world, you and whatever's to come and whatever has been. This is like a little walled up enclosed space. It's just you and this mat. Starting to really connect with being present on the mat. And then start to notice what you're doing with your breath. Notice your breath. Notice if it's more into your chest. Notice if you're already starting to slow your breath down and bring it down more fully into your lungs. Notice if we start to bring attention to our breath, if you start to really pull really strongly with your stomach muscles to force that intentional breath. And then we're going to work with gentle pauses in the breath, just rolling through gentle pauses. So we're going to breathe in fully. Add a little pause, breathe out fully, and add a little pause. And just notice how this feels, and notice what happens as you try to do this. So try to just roll your breath in without lots of muscular action. Just watch it come in, nice and slow and intentional, breathing in. If it's comfortable for you, try to breathe in through the nose with the mouth loose, not forcing the mouth tight. And then gentle pause. And then breathe out through the nose and gentle pause. And it's important to add the gentle pauses, not as a restriction and a competition. I'm going to get these pauses nice and long, just as an experience. Start to notice what it feels like to hold the breath in, and notice what it feels like to hold the breath out. And if it helps you can talk yourself through this. I am breathing in, gentle pause. I'm very slowly breathing out, gentle pause. See if you can start to have such a deep experience with the breath that you can begin to feel the breath as it moves through, maybe even feeling it as it passes the top lip. And then let all thoughts of the breath go and land back on the mat and just notice what is present. Notice if you feel like your thoughts are slowing a little, or if you feel more grounded and more present on the mat. And we're going to pick up the toes, and we're going to spread the toes wide and start to connect with the muscles of our feet. So spread the toes wide and then pick up the balls of the feet and then place the ball of the big toe down and then slowly roll over onto the other edge of the foot. So moving the weight around your feet with your toes spread wide and the feet, muscles of the feet active. So your knees are going to move, but the action is not coming from your knees. You're trying to find the muscles in the feet and trying not to engage anything else. So trying not to make this movement happen from the low back. Trying not to make this movement happen from the muscles of the legs. And then let your toes go down. Wiggle your feet, soften your feet. You're going to take a right leg up to the ceiling and try to keep the right hip down on the ground. So right leg becomes active. And start to move through the foot. So push the toes away and then pull the toes towards the shin. Trying not to lock the knee. And if you need a big bend in the knee, if the back of the leg is tight, go ahead and bend the knee. So starting to feel the muscles and all the way through the leg. And then take very slow circles with the foot. Mindful of what's going on in the neck and the low back. And then reverse your circle. Lower the right leg. Take the left leg up to the ceiling. Find the back of the leg and then push the toes away. Pull the toes towards you. Slow circles with the foot. Slow, finding the muscles that make this happen, not just rolling around in the joint. And then back in the other direction. Lower the foot, take a side sway with the knees and hips, just making sure the lower back is nice and soft. We're going to work with the muscles of the stomach. So start to press your hips down into the ground. Rather than pulling your pelvis so that your low back is flat on the ground, push your hips down onto the ground with the muscles of the stomach. Push your rib cage down onto the ground. This should feel like work already. Bring the heels up, knees bent. Heels are even with the knees are over the hips. This should also feel like work. Stomach should be active and strong. Watch for compensation patterns in the neck and too much work in the upper body. Hands to thighs. We're going to inhale as we lengthen one side, arm overhead, leg long. Exhale as we bring it back together and then on to the other side. Inhale, exhale. If you cannot keep this movement entirely in the stomach and out of the back, make it smaller until you can. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, back. Move with your breath. Try to keep the hips solid on the ground, stomach strong. Bring all the heat into the stomach. And then bring the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a little hug. And you can rock it. Reset. And then roll on over to a side and come on up to a tabletop position. We'll move and breathe in a tabletop. So inhale, tabletop. Exhale towards child's pose. Starting to just land on the mat. Notice what is present. And take any swings and movements and adjustments that feel right for you. And then begin to make this movement a little bit bigger. So as you come forward, start to take a little push-up shape. And then exhale back. So bending the elbows, coming forward, making sure that you're not just landing in the wrists, but you're pulling up and activating the chest and bending the elbows. And then find a child's pose. Release into the ground. Find your breath. And we're going to come on forward to a tabletop position and make a triangle with our index fingers and thumbs. So take your hands a little bit further forward than right underneath your wrists. Take them a little bit further forward. Make a triangle shape with index fingers and thumbs. You're going to bend the elbows and then start to come over forward towards the fingertips. Chest is active, so we're not sinking into the shoulders. We're not dropping into the low back. Chest and stomach are active and strong. We're going to take little slow triangle push-ups. This movement does not have to be big. And if you're already strong in this shape, tuck the toes, lift the knees, and come to full triangle push-ups. Lower the knees if you lifted them and send yourself back to child's reset. And then make your way to down dog, warming up the shape, whichever way feels right for you. I'm thinking about this shape being another triangle. And then find the stillness of down dog. Thinking about drawing yourself up from your hands and then sending energy back down through the legs. Almost as if that meeting point of your hips is pulling up to the ceiling and then your heels are gently pulling down towards the ground without a goal. So without the goal of having your heels on the ground, but feeling that opposite. So pulling up from the ground and then pulling back down. Breathe. Keeping your arms and shoulders strong and where they are. Little bend in the knees. Try to keep the hips where they are. Slowly lift right heel towards the ceiling. Press the right heel up a little longer. We're going to inhale long. Exhale, bring right knee towards left elbow. Inhale up. Exhale long. In. Inhale up. Exhale in. Hold it across, lower the right foot. Once you've landed both feet, be strong in the legs, strong in the core. See if you can come over onto the right arm and lift the left, fallen triangle. Breathe. Pull your hips up out of the ground with your stomach muscles. Lower the left hand, slowly unravel back to three-legged dog, and then step through low lunge. Find a movement in your low lunge. Inhaling, bent leg. Exhaling towards a straight leg. Inhale that forward, exhale back. Moving through your legs and finding the muscles. Come through to low lunge and slowly lower the back knee down and untuck the toes. Adjust so this position is comfortable on that back knee. Maybe place something in underneath. Having your blocks handy, we're going to pay attention to our hips. So we want our hips facing forward because this is the best position, but it's the one we're working on right now. So send your hips forward. And then send your hips back. Nice and slow, trying to engage. So little tuck of the pelvis as you come forward will open up this front left hip. Exhale, straighten up the front leg. You can start to peel up the front toes as you come back, starting to really feel the back of the front leg. Your legs should be so strong you're almost not on this back knee. You're lifting up, pulling up out of the ground. The weight is not resting on the back knee. And then come forward. Make sure you're comfortable in the back leg. If you have your blocks, it's going to be super handy. So hold your blocks so that you can be forward here. We're going to move the front knee open. So we're going to pull it open and pull it back. So find the muscles that make this movement happen. Inner thigh muscles. Try not to grip with the right toes. And try not to make this movement come in the low back. So inner knee, front knee comes in and out. Nice and slow. Try not to make this movement come from the low back. Watch for tension in the neck. Soften the face. And then come forward, tuck the toes, lift up the back knee, low lunge. Frame out the front foot, high plank. Right foot meets left, hold. And then straight to down dog. Find your breath. Really strong in the arms and shoulders. Little bend in the knees. Trying to keep the hips and the arms and shoulders where they are. Slowly lift left heel up. Inhale long, exhale, bring the left knee across towards the right elbow. Inhale back. Bring it across, hold. Straighten up the left leg. Place the heel down, both legs strong. Pull up from the left wrist, engage chest and shoulders, lift up right arm, fallen triangle. Pull the hips up out of the ground. Breathe. Slowly return the right hand. Step the left leg through low lunge. Inhale forward, exhale back. Find a low lunge and slowly lower the back knee, untuck the toe. Just to make sure that you're comfortable on the back leg. We're going to inhale forward, exhale, draw the hips back towards the heel. Take it slow. Feel the muscles. You're going to feel the muscles in the front of the right hip and then the back of the left leg. Woo. Find your blocks to help keep you steady. So watch for this movement coming from the low back and the hips moving left to right. Try to take this into the front of the right hip and the back of the left leg. Come forward. Get to a comfortable and strong position. And we're going to hold the left knee, pull it open, and pull it back. So make sure this movement is coming from the inner thigh, not from the sacrum, and not from the joint in the hip or the knee. Soften the face and shoulders. Watch for gripping in the toes. And then come forward, low lunge. Tuck the toes, lift up, framing out the front foot, high plank. Option to take another triangle with your hands and take the push-up. Or meet me in down dog. Inhale, lift the right foot. Exhale, step through low lunge. Inhale, rise up, high lunge. Exhale, frame out the front foot. Step back, high plank. Down dog. Inhale, lift left leg. Exhale, step through low lunge. Inhale, rise up, high lunge. Exhale, return hands. Step back, down dog. Breathe. Inhale, lift right leg. Exhale, step through. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, hands down. Right foot back, down dog. Inhale, lift left leg. Exhale, step through. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, down, high plank, down dog. Breathe. Inhale, right leg. Exhale, step through. This time, inhale, high lunge and hold. Find a steady high lunge. Check in. So notice if your low back is tight. Maybe you need a deeper bend in this back leg. Get a really solid, balanced base. And adjust. Maybe this back foot needs to be in for balance. Maybe it needs to be a little bit wider, so more hip width rather than towards a straight line of your feet. So find your strong, balanced high lunge. We're going to inhale, lengthen up, lengthen legs, lift the torso. Exhale, lower the back knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lower. You can make this movement smaller, teeny movement, or you can lift towards straight legs. Exhale, lower, hover the knee low. And then frame out the front foot. Right foot meets left. Down dog. Inhale, lift left leg, step through. Exhale, inhale, lift up, high lunge, hold. Find a steady base. So adjust, nice and strong. Find your base. And we're going to inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, exhale, frame out the front foot. Left foot meets right. Down dog. Breathe. Inhale, lift the right leg, step through low lunge, drop the back foot. Inhale, rise up, warrior two legs. So now find your base. Find a position that this back leg is not pulling into the knee. So open up, engage the muscles. Engage the muscles of the front leg. Pull that front knee out towards behind you. Find your hands of prayer. So really focusing in on the legs. Make sure the back knee is not gripping and pulling. Back toes are not gripping. Front toes are not gripping. We're nice and strong in the legs. So we're going to work towards our triangle legs from here. So we're going to pull the hips up. Pull the hips up, straighten up the front leg. Exhale, lower. Inhale, pull the hips up. Exhale, lower. So watch for moving through the joint without muscle engagement. We're trying to find muscles. Pull the hips up, bring the leg towards straight. Still energy moving, not a locked knee. The back knee's not locked either. And you can stay with your hands of prayer working with the legs, or if you like, arms out, warrior two. Exhale, inhale, up, reverse triangle. Exhale, warrior two. Try to keep that movement still coming from the inner thigh. And then bring it up to reverse triangle. So hold, be strong in the legs. Bring your torso back to center. Strong, strong, strong in the legs. So this movement not coming from this hip joint, but starting to lengthen through the torso and bring the rib cage over. Take your right hand out, push it over, over, over. See if you can hold a floating triangle. Watching for locked knees. Watching for this movement being too much strain into the lower back or too much flopping over into this joint because you want to get to the ground. We are trying to engage and find the stomach's working triangles, not floppy triangles. So, another aspect of a triangle is the triangle legs, but also the opposite. So thinking about the same thing as down dog, pulling up from the ground and reaching up to the sky and drawing down at the same time. We're going to do that same thing with our torso. So we're going to push, pull through right arm as if it's reaching towards the ground, and then pull through left arm as you're pulling the left rib cage up. Engage, hold, strong working triangle. Watch for tension in the neck. Reach in opposite directions, lengthen, strengthen, and then reverse your triangle. Ooh, take a little break. Bring your hands to hips. Adjust your feet. So you're going to turn right foot so that it's the back leg, and left foot around, opening up, warrior two on the other side. So find your solid base first. Watch for knees. So If I'm not paying attention to my knee, I can lock this back knee. I can sink down into the joints. I'm not paying any attention. And this back knee is very tight. So opening up, giving a little bend in the knee, and thinking about drawing my muscles back, my thigh muscles back, helps me to pay more attention to this back leg. So open up, find your base. Beginning with your hands of prayer, so we're focusing in on the legs. Inhale as you lift and pull from the left thigh. Exhale as you lower, pulling again. So we're not moving from the joints, using the leg muscles. From warrior two legs to triangle legs. And then if you'd like to start to bring your arms into it, inhale, reverse. Exhale, warrior two. Bring it up to a reverse triangle and hold, watching for knees, checking in, looking for tension in the low back, the neck, the face. And getting really long in the torso, bring the torso to neutral first. Without pulling this hip back, without bringing it all into the joints and turning the hips. Still engaged in this left leg. We're going to bring the left shoulder over. Hold, working, floating triangle. Hold it open here. Legs are strong. Torso is strong. Find those core muscles. Imagine you're getting longer in the spine. Hold. And then a little tiny tilt, left arm down. Right arm comes up. Find those opposites. You're pulling the right rib cage up. I'm pulling the left rib cage down. Engage. Find those opposites. Breathe. If your mind wanders off the mat, or if you're going somewhere else, you're going to be in a different shape. And you can hold out in these shapes. You can find this shape and hang out. And there's no muscle engagement. You can just chill out in the joints. Or you can find that mind-body connection and start to isolate and find certain muscle groups. Reverse your triangle. Breathe. Hands to hips. Slowly turn your feet back to the other side. Find your base. So get really strong in your triangle legs. Finding your base. This time we're going to work with twisting our triangle. So this is intense. If you have a chair and you're not super strong in this shape yet, feel free to place your hand on a chair to keep you up and into the core muscles and out of the sacrum and the hips. So start to take your triangle shape, your floating triangle, strong in the legs, strong in the core. And then thinking about this left front of the shoulder, without moving the legs, bring it around. So you're going to bring it around towards the right foot, nice and slow. We're going to imagine pulling from the internal stomach muscles on this right side. Pull the right shoulder up. Arms can be out of the game. Think about this with the core muscles working. Your left arm can reach down, your right arm can pull up, or you can just place the right arm down and think about moving from the rib cage, from the core muscles. We're going to inhale as we open back up. Exhale as we draw down. Start really slow at first. Watch for locking of the knees and watch for this movement coming from the sacrum and not the core muscles. Slowly bring it up, torso up. Make a star. Switch the feet, other side. So sit up your base nice and strong first. Torso comes over, strong, strong, strong legs. Thinking about right shoulder moving towards left foot. From the core, working through the torso, not the hips. Inhale, open. Exhale, twist. Find the muscles that make this movement happen. Get longer in the torso. Inhale up, open up, star pose. So think about your triangle with your legs in a star pose. Not locked knees. Reach up, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Hands to purr. We're going to make another triangle and come forward. So keeping our triangle of our legs, come forward with the torso. You can grab your block and take this a little more static and relaxing, or you can keep it active and strong. Torso forward, holding your torso up, the muscles of your stomach and your leg muscles nice and strong. Inhale, rise up the torso. Left foot parallel, right foot forward. We're going to start to work towards pyramid pose. So you're going to come forward so that your hips are facing forward. Watch your own body shape. So pyramid pose. The foot and ankle can be in any position on the back leg that is comfortable for your knee and ankle. We're thinking about the front leg and the hips facing forward. So find that position that your feet, knees, legs are comfortable. Think about engaging the stomach muscles and getting the torso long, long, long first. And then pyramid pose. So you want to feel it from the heel all the way to the right glute. If you are not feeling this, rather than folding forward and taking this all into the lower back, you can peel up the toes. You can imagine you're pulling the heel back towards the left heel or towards the glute. Start to activate the muscles and pull the hip up. You can also try the opposite of pressing into the heel as if you're trying to push the foot away from you. See which one works for you. And if this still isn't enough, you can come up and place your foot on a block. Hold, breathe. Slowly lift the torso, bend into the front knee, and switch legs. So bring left leg forward, step right leg back. Pyramid pose for the other side. Find your comfortable base first. So making sure this back leg is comfortable and we're not twisting into a joint in an uncomfortable way. Slowly lengthen the torso and find the adjustment for your front leg so that you can feel the lengthening of the back of the left leg. Try not to grip with the left toes. Soften the face. Soften your breath. Bend the front knee, lift the torso, step forward, and switch sides. Back to right leg forward, triangle, pyramid pose. So set up first. This time we're going to be super engaged and paying attention. We're going to work pyramid pose. So set up not to your most extreme, not to where you are feeling the stretch the most, but where you can hold comfortably and strong. So we're going to work through this pose, slowly and carefully, trying to find muscles and not moving from joints. So hold your hips. We're going to peel this left hip open slightly and then pull it back to neutral. So we're pulling the left hip open and then pulling the right hip back, left hip round. So you should start to feel this in the back, in the right glute, and in the internal left hip. Try to move nice and slow and controlled, and try not to lock this front knee or the back knee. So we're trying to make a movement through the hips, strengthening, stabilize your muscles. Working triangles. Not passive. Slowly bring it back to neutral. Lift torso, step forward, and switch legs. Right leg back. Find your comfortable base for pyramid pose. Not your fullest extension. Nice and strong. Peel the right hip open and then back. Small movement. Feeling it in the left glute and internal right hip. I like to keep my hand on my sacrum so that I remind myself not to flop into the joint and make this movement come from this space. That's where I commonly take all my movements. Bring it back to neutral. Bend the front leg, step forward and connect to the breath. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, purr to heart. Hold your purr at heart, wiggle the toes, soften the legs, pedal out the feet, bend the knees. And we're going to make one last triangle shape. So we're going to make the triangle shape of our inner leg. So we're coming down to one leg chair. So bring in, bend in the knees. Strengthen your baby chair. So land your baby chair so that you're nice and strong. Try to soften the low back. Soften the shoulders and the face. Bring the weight onto the right leg without sending the hips over. So hips stay neutral. Try not to take this all into these bigger muscle groups. Hips neutral, start to lift up left leg. So getting long in the torso, find your core, lift left leg. Left ankle crosses just over right knee. And if you look down, there's a triangle. Your hands to prayer, slowly sink the hips and stay present on your mat, or you're gonna fall and wobble. So things you can play with. Try to keep the whole left leg strong and active and pull the left knee down to the ground with the muscles of the legs. Sink further. If you would like to move into the challenge, you can hold this. You can go back to chair. You can go back to mountain pose. Or if you'd like the challenge, you're going to slowly bring the arms forward and forward fold. You can also grab your blocks for this. Forward fold. Try not to let this ankle land on that right knee too much. Forward fold with the leg up. There's an arm balance that you work towards. So you lock the left arm over the right elbow, left foot over the right elbow. And you come on up. I get to demonstrate. So you lock the left foot over the tricep and the right arm. And come on down. Place the left knee on the tricep to the left arm. Slowly come forward and lift the back toes up. And you can play with that wherever you're at. Slowly work your way back to mountain pose. Connect with your breath. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Other side. So find your baby chair. Find your base first. So legs nice and strong and active. Stomach muscles strong. Shoulders and face soft. Weight onto the right leg without sending the hips side to side. Lift left leg. Oh, sorry. Other side. Slowly cross right ankle over left knee. Slowly, and pay attention. Whew. And then sink. Hold active. Either stay here or return to mountain, or practice the challenge of slowly, 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 slowly forward folding, finding the ground. And if you would like to play with the arm balance, left foot hooks tight on that left, right foot hooks tight on left tricep. Right knee places itself just on the top of the right tricep. Slowly come forward, weight onto arms and shoulders, and then tuck up left toes. And then wherever you're at, slowly make your way down to a seat. Find a comfortable seat. Find the hips on the ground. We're going to open up the legs to a triangle shape. So not the widest that your legs can go. We're going to move in this shape. So feet are going to come to the ground. You're going to place left hand down, sweep right hand up and lift hips. Exhale through center. Inhale, lengthen, other side. So move through. Pulling the hips up out of the ground. Strong shoulders and chest. And then find yourself back, neutral. Feet down on the ground. So make your feet about hip width apart. Maybe you can pull them in a little tighter and wrap your arms around your legs. So, holding on. Grab your shins, grab your upper arms, whatever is comfortable. Try not to grab onto the knees, but rather around the knees, make yourself a tight shape. If this is not 100% comfortable for you, you can also lock in under the thighs. So find a way to curl up. And then slowly, we're going to move the head around in a very, 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 very slow circle, thinking about releasing tension in the neck. And go back in the other way. Nice, slow, slow circles, trying to feel the muscles of the neck and the shoulders. And then head back to neutral and find your way back down to your back. Bring your hips onto the ground. Take a little side sway of the knees and the hips, feet on the ground. Going back to where we began, finding that little triangle between the heel and the glute. And celebrating that all the hard work is done. So landing on the ground, noticing what is different than when we began class. Settling in. And then land the feet down on the ground, legs long. And try to stay away from legs straight, because when we go straight, we often lock into the joints. So you want your legs long with a soft bend in the knee. And then reach your arms up over the head. Lengthen the feet, point the toes away from you, and take the feet over to the right. So slowly lengthening that left side body, and then press the rib cage left as you slowly draw the shoulders a little bit right. So making a long banana shape on the ground. Thinking about lengthening the left side body. Breathe. Imagine you could gently press your breath between each rib on the left side. Slowly back through neutral. Take the feet over to the other side. And then thinking about lifting and lengthening right rib cage. Slowly pull right shoulder up. Make a big banana shape on the ground, opening right rib cage. Breathe. Slowly bring yourself back to neutral. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Wrap right knee over left and draw the heels towards opposite shoulders. Slowly unravel and switch sides. Left knee over right. Draw the heels in. And breathe. And then again, remembering, unravel, bring your feet down, knees up, take a little side sway, remembering the purpose. So we're trying to think about a purpose for each pose, a purpose for the things that we're doing. Thinking about what we might be doing while we're doing it. Having that mind-body connection. So rather than just flopping through shapes and doing repetitive motions, we're trying to have a connection to our practice. And it's not that one way is right or wrong, that one shape is right or wrong. You can take all the shapes in many different ways. You can activate different muscle groups in many shapes. So a triangle shape can be floating. It can be reaching up and backwards and reversed. It can be twisted. You can activate all different muscle groups kind of in the same pose. Or you can think about just engaging different muscles in different ways in the same shape. So we're trying to have that mind-body connection. We're not working out. This is not a gym. We're not just flopping around and trying to strengthen muscles mindlessly. That's the difference between a gym practice and the actual practice of yoga during your physical practice. So keeping all that in mind, make a decision about where you would like to be for your final resting pose. Pick a shape. Traditionally it's taken in full corpse, but if you like, you can keep your feet on the ground and knees resting in. It's going to be softer on your back. You can prop up and put something underneath your knees, or you can take an entirely different shape. But what I would like you to try to do is to think about the purpose of this pose, the purpose of this placement in the class. So all the physical work is to work through that mind-body connection. It's to find places that are weak in the physical body and strengthen them, find places that are tight and lengthen them. There's all these parts of the practice. The purpose of the pose at the end is to release all of the tension in the body. So rather than thinking about trying to get one further stretch in and opening up the hips or finding one place where you can find some stretch as you're trying to meditate, try to find a position in your body is completely releasing tension. That you can get every muscle in the body as soft as possible, and then start that scan. So the more that you practice, the more that you get to know your own physical body. You get to know your holding patterns. So start your scan, looking for any places that you're still holding tension. And when you find that tension, imagine breathing in your breath and sending that fresh breath energy straight to that place. And with the exhale, imagine you're sweeping away that tension. So you're sending fresh breath and you're drawing away things that are ready to be released. Starting to release further and further into the support of the ground, into the support of your mat. And then I picked a reading from the Radiant Sutra today. Important to remember that these words are meant to be heard from a heart space or our spiritual self more than our cognitive self. So try to imagine resting into your spiritual center, and rather than having the experience of hearing with the ears and processing with the head, imagine you could just allow the words to wash through you as you begin to surrender and release into the ground. I am everywhere, infusing everything. To find me, become absorbed in intense experience. Go all the way. Be drenched in the energies of life. Enter the world beyond separation. The light of a candle reveals a room. The rays of the sun reveal the world. So does the divine feminine illuminate the way to me. Try to surrender control of even the breath. Soften the muscles of the face and the mouth. Soften further and further away from the thinking mind. And draw your focus to the center of the forehead. So many teachings, this is the place of an eye. An illuminated eye, an eye of light and energy. And if we place our focus here, it's almost as if this is an internal TV screen. Light and colors and energy can move and be seen when we draw our focus away from the cognitive head and the thoughts and the wandering thoughts and to this place of focus. Without bringing strain to the muscles of the eyes, without thinking about using the eyes. Bring the focus of the mind to the internal point, the center of the forehead, as if you're looking at the back of your skull. And notice what is present here. See if you can soften the muscles of the eyes and the eyelids a little more, and perhaps you see little dances of light right here at the center of the forehead. Notice if you see the dances of light and the cognitive mind likes to say, "Oh, there it is," and then the light disappears. And then see if you can see them again. Seeing if each time you can lengthen that space between resting in this point of light and energy and between the thoughts. And the practice of meditation is not about resting in that space and having this wonderful otherworldly experience. It is the practice being the key word, of resting your focus in some point away from the thoughts, noticing when the thoughts do what they do and draw you back to them, and then gently bringing your focus back. No matter how many times, no matter what the thoughts, just gently bringing them back and practicing that practice of not labeling the thoughts or judging the thoughts, but just bringing your focus back, exercising your mind just as we exercise the muscles of the body. And if you are in a great place and you're enjoying this practice of moving your focus back to your head, back to the center of your forehead, go ahead and take the time that you need in this practice. Spend some time practicing. If you need to finish up at 60 minutes, we are at that point. So begin to bring yourself into a fetal position. Curl up in a ball, land in the room. And think about some of the distractions that maybe your mind is ready to let go of. Give them some kind of visual. Maybe they have a color. Maybe they're like little balls. Wrap your thoughts in balls and place them on the mat. Be willing to let some of these familiar patterns in your brain go. Try not to cognitively think about it. Think of it as a visual. Think of it not as a story that you're getting, run down the story track in your brain, reinforcing the pattern, but just bringing a visual of whatever you might be ready to let go of and leaving it on the mat. It is not that we pretend that the experience no longer exists. It's that we're letting go of that familiar pattern that keeps us trapped in that thought. So the experience is still there. We just become more and more ready to incorporate it as part of our story and less willing to carry the burden of the emotional responses and the thought patterns surrounding the experience. So as you come up to a seated position, complete your practice in familiar ritual. Bring your hands to prayer heart space. Take a little moment to acknowledge yourself, your inner wisdom. Your inner wisdom brought you to this practice. Your inner wisdom allowed you to complete this practice. May we all know a little more intuition, a little more inner wisdom, a little more peace from the cognitive mind. And may we all know a bunch of compassion and kindness and send it out into our communities. Thank you so much for joining me.